more people will jump on. If you have questions throughout this time, I ask that you type it in the chat so that we can make sure that we're able to answer your questions. Okay, so this is the demographic study for Riverview Gardens School District, and I am the Superintendent, Tanya Patton. Oops, hold on, let me go back. So in 2023-24, the Board of Education commissioned a demographic study to review and address the possibility of declining enrollment within our district. The demographic study was completed by Corrigan and Clark, and the results were completed in October of 2025, and we had a special, October 2024, I'm sorry, and we had a special board meeting to share those results. The results showed that within the Riverview Gardens School District, we will probably lose anywhere between 800 and 1,000 students over the next 10 years. So between 2024 and 2025 and 2035, Riverview Gardens has the possibility of losing approximately 1,000 students, anywhere between 800 and 1,000. And that is a result of declining birth rates in our area. I do want to mention that throughout the country, school districts are seeing a declining enrollment in student population. This began when the pandemic began in the latter part of the school year 2019-2020. And then collectively, St. Louis, including public and charter schools, have lost approximately 9,000 students since the pandemic. This is our enrollment for that time. So 2019 to 2020. So this is about a 6-year enrollment. It says 5, but it actually is 6 years. Okay, thank you. So you'll see that in 2019-2020, we had about 5,400 students. And then you see that in 2020-2021, it grew. And then 21-22, it grew. It then grew a little in comparison to the previous year. And then it kind of stayed in 2022-23 the same, dropped a little in 23-24, and just is a little lower in 24-25. I want to say that this 4,983 is not representative of our early childhood center. If you put it with our early childhood center, we have approximately 5,200 students. This is the demographic study that Corrigan and Clark showed. So they looked at this year enrollment and kind of projected what will happen over the next 10 years. And so they're saying we will go from about 4,900 students to about 4,300 students, give or take a little. So this is the projected enrollment over the next 10 years. This is our current building utilization. So part of the demographic study was that Corrigan and Clark looked at the utilization of our buildings. In other words, how much of each building is being utilized. So you'll see Danforth is 86.2% of the building is being utilized. LeMaster's is 55.6%, and so on. You can read all the numbers. Meadow 62.5%. So, and what they used, they took the class size. So how many students can fit in a classroom based on DESE's enrollment. And so that's what they looked at. And it showed that this is a building utilization across the district. I want to make it very clear because I know it's been reported that Riverview is closing a school. I want to make this very clear. Riverview Gardens has not decided to close any of our buildings. I have not made a recommendation to the board, and the board has not made any decisions on our schools. What we're doing right now is we're sharing the information with our community, with our employees, as well as with our families, because we want them to know about it. We've also sent out a survey. You'll see that a little later. We sent out a survey to our community, to our employees, as well as to our parents, because we want to get their feedback. On that survey, you could access the actual study that they completed and review it yourself. So just to be very clear, Riverview Gardens Board has not made any decision on closing any of our buildings. We did have to revise our 2024-25 budget to give a more accurate picture of our district and discover some financial issues that we may be facing, that we will be facing as we move forward. We have to address budget reductions. We have to address our declining enrollment, and building utilization is important to being an effective school district. The board is considering all options. This is where your voice is important. So if you receive that survey, we ask that you please fill it out so that we hear what you think. Share your thoughts with us about how this should be handled. That's going to be very important. While the survey does ask specific questions, it also has an area in there that you can write in what you want. So if your question wasn't asked, you can ask a question in there. And what we'll do is kind of put all of that information together. We'll share it with our board, and then we'll share it with the community. The board is considering all options with focusing on making sure that we continue to provide a quality education to our students. And again, we would like the input of our community, our parents, and our staff. We've had a few meetings over this time. We had one on January the 22nd at Central Middle School, one on February the 3rd at Danforth. We had one, well, actually we'll have one next week at Glasgow, and that time says 4 to 6, but what we've decided to do is move it back. It will be from 6 to 8, and this will allow parents who work to come, because we want to make sure that we are getting all of our parents involved. One of the reasons we are doing this particular format today is so that parents who work at night can participate in it as well, and that's why we're doing this on this format today. Again, I shared with you that a survey had been sent out. Please complete that survey. What we'll do is take that information. The board will gather that information. They will read through it. We will read through it collectively, and then we'll make decisions for Riverview Gardens School District. The survey is scheduled to close at the end of this month. It was scheduled to close at the end of January, but we've extended it, and we really want to hear your voice. So please make sure you complete it. If you didn't get the survey, please let us know that. And again, we can send that out again.
And Dr. Patton, I did post the link in the chat. So anybody who wants to fill out the survey, you just look in the chat. It'll take you to the demographic study page, and the employee, the parent, and the community surveys are all linked on that page.
Thank you, Mr. Sistrunk. This is a sample survey, at least the survey to the community. We asked you about the population trends. What do you think of it? What do you think of that Corrigan and Clark is predicting that we will lose about 800 to 1,000 students? Do you believe it is necessary to address the fact that our buildings are operating under capacity? How do you feel about closing one of our schools? The timeline for that, if the board voted to do that, it would take about 2 to 3 years for us to get a solid plan in place. We would also form a committee of people. It would be parents, community members, employees, board members, administrators in our district. We would form a committee of people to make sure that we devise an effective plan. It also talks about the possibility of moving some of our schools to kindergarten through 2nd grade schools, with some of them being 3rd through 5th grade. What you'll see, most studies will show you that when you can focus on the development of a student at the kindergarten through 2nd grade level, they are much better prepared to be successful as they move on throughout their educational career. So that is the main reason to even consider, should we move, should we close a school? Should we move to kindergarten, 2nd grade buildings and 3rd through 5th grade buildings? Because it really would benefit us in strengthening the foundation of education so that our students are more successful as they progress through. Again, we have another meeting coming up at Glasgow Elementary on February the 18th. That one will be Facebook Live as well, so that we can answer questions. We will also be at Glasgow, so hopefully a lot of our community will come in and participate in those meetings. I can honestly tell you, we haven't had a lot of community members. I think the last one at Danforth was the most attended one. A lot of parents came on Facebook Live to ask questions, which we appreciated, and we found that to be effective, which is why we are doing this platform today. So we invite you to come out. This is a great time because once a decision is made, should that decision be not to close any of our schools or to close one, hearing your opinion after the fact would make it much harder for us to take that into consideration. So please, please, please make your voice be known, share what your thoughts are about what is projected for our district over the next 10 years. Our ultimate goal is full accreditation. Riverview Gardens is provisionally accredited. We are working to get full accreditation. And let me say that even though we are provisionally accredited, we are graduating students that are going on to colleges. We had students get into Washington University last year. We've had students get the Bill and Melinda Gates Scholarship. We just a couple of days ago had a few of our students signing letters of intent to attend college. So we are still producing great, outstanding citizens. So the provisional accreditation doesn't mean that we don't have to do the work. We are continuing to meet our students. We are continuing to give them a great education, as well as extracurricular activities, because that's important as well. Being able to play sports, being able to get tutoring, things like that. So we are offering them a great education, a well-rounded education, and we will continue to do that. Last year, we had about $15.6 million in scholarships for the students of Riverview Gardens, all of our graduating seniors, and we intend to beat that number this year. So please don't get it twisted. We are doing great work in this district. We offer a lot to our parents in terms of resources, from everything from food to coats to shoes to whatever you may need. We have at our high school, we have a health center that can offer immunizations, flu shots, just anything our parents need. We are a full service school district, and that means we take care of the education as well as the whole child. So whatever you need, Riverview can support you in. Ultimately, our goal is to get to full accreditation and to make our district a district of choice. So we need our parents to do that. We need our babies at school. Let me address that as well. Our students are not attending school at the rate that they should be attending. And actually our attendance rate is just simply unacceptable. We need more of our families at school. We need more of our parents involved. In order to effectively educate them, we need them to be here. So, if you will make sure your babies are at school, we will make sure that we educate them. We need them at school. So I've heard parents say, well, you all just want the money. Well, I'm going to agree with you. We want the money because the money allows us to give your student an effective education. And that's our goal. So it's not just about collecting money just to have it. It's about collecting money so that we can effectively educate our students. So we need our students in school 90% of the time. Riverview Gardens loses, and I'll be perfectly transparent and honest with you, we lose anywhere from $3 to $4 million a year because of our attendance. And we need our babies at school. That will help us give them an effective education. It helps us give them just the entire package of education. So please make sure your students are at school. We are asking and begging you to do that, and would love to see our students at school more often. So if you have questions, we are here to take your questions. So feel free you can talk out loud or you can put them in the chat. It is totally up to you. Questions? Okay, so I'm assuming that we don't have any questions.
There's one in the chat, Dr. Patton.
Can you read it for me?
When will a recommendation be made?
As soon as we collect all of the information. So the goal was to make a recommendation in March. But if we need to put it off and make a recommendation in May so that we can make sure that we've got a good amount of information, we will do that as well. Again, this is not something that would take place next school year. It would be the following year at the earliest. However, our goal is to put together a solid plan and an effective plan to support our students. So if we find that we need more time to build a solid plan, then we'll put it off and we will wait to the 27-28 school year. So we just want to make sure that what we're thinking about and how we can effectively educate our students, that the plan displays that and that it's effective. So we're not in a rush to do it. We want to do it well, not quick. Any other questions?
I have one, Dr. Patton. Regarding the surveys, how will the surveys be used during this process to help the board come to a decision or to help a recommendation that's made?
So the board we will look at all of that information and we will look at what the community is asking. So what are you asking for? What is it that we can do? How do you want to see this take place? Do you even want to see us closing a school? So we will gather all of that information and I will make recommendations to the board based on that. And I will share all of that information with our board as well to be completely transparent so that they can see what our community is saying. So that's why your feedback is so important. There are times when after a decision is made, then the opinions come out. We want the opinions up front because then we can take those opinions into consideration as decisions are made.
So then does that mean the options that we discussed during the meetings are not the only options? Those are maybe preliminary options, and future options could be influenced by, survey responses.
Absolutely. So the narrative part of that survey is in there as well. That's where you can make all of the comments and ask all of the questions. So is there something you have thought about that we haven't? Then let us know that. So just because we have certain questions in there does not mean that those are the only options. There are other options that maybe we haven't thought about. That's why your voice is very important to us, our employees, our community, as well as our family. So please make sure that you complete the survey, add in your additional questions, or if you're wondering about something, put that in there as well. If you have an idea about how this could look, we want to hear that as well. So this is a great opportunity to put your voice in the game. Other questions? Ramley, if there's something that I've forgotten to say, please chime in, or if you think that you want to add in more information, please feel free to do that as well. Okay. Well, I guess no one else has questions or anything. So I thank you for your time today. If you get any questions that you didn't want to ask in a public setting, that's fine. Please, you can email me those questions, tapatton@rgsd.k12.mo.us, and we can make sure we get your questions answered. Thank you for your time today. Happy Valentine's Day and have a great evening. Remember, Riverview Gardens is off on Monday. It is President's Day. Probably most schools are closed as well, so enjoy your weekend. Thank you, everyone.
See you Tuesday.
Tuesday.